Hello there, it's Penny Walsh McGuire with the Greater Charlottetown Area Chamber of Commerce, and we're pleased this morning to have Minister Heath MacDonald with the Department of Finance for our 2018 budget talk. Welcome, Minister.
Thank you.
Budget was released last week for 2018, a variety of programs and investments in that budget. I think we'll just start off. It is the second year of a balanced budget that this government has presented, positive economic indicators. What do you attribute being able to balance the budget to?
Well, I think a couple of things. Obviously, our small and medium enterprises are doing very well and growing substantially each year. Population growth has been a resource for us. So those are likely two of the main emphasis that we provide, but the economy in Prince Edward Island is doing extremely well overall, and even our larger manufacturers, housing, there's all kinds of things to contribute to the economic success that we're having.
Okay, great. Now, with that, questions about the debt of the province. Obviously, the net debt to GDP ratio is going in the right direction. I think there's an expectation that the debt levels will plateau in the next couple of years. How is the province preparing to for any headwinds or increase in interest rate that's coming? How do you prepare for something like that?
Well, we've had Moody's come out in the last few days, the bond raters, and we're in a good position.
Mm-hmm.
Our future looks bright as far as net debt to GDP. We're trending in the right direction. We're in likely the top 5 in Canada right now, so we're satisfied at the present time of what we're doing and how we're going about it.
Okay. Lots of good news in the budget. Want to talk a little bit about the small business tax reduction. There was a reduction of 0.5%, a positive step forward that the Chamber has seen and was a signal for our small business owners. There was also talk of a multi-year commitment of helping with the competitive advantage for small business and PEI. Can you talk about how you think this will help in terms of competitive advantage?
Well, I think anytime you put money back in the pockets of islanders, whether it be a business or an individual, you're making a contribution to hopefully that they take those savings and reproduce them into their workforce, or back into capital or something to that effect that's going to help grow their business, which is going to entail grow their economy and help everybody. So I think even the 0.5, people are actually seeing that we're going in the right direction. We recognize the importance of small business, and we want to keep that trend going.
Okay. Thank you, Minister. In terms of a multi-year commitment, as you know, the Chamber was advocating for the reduction to come more in line with the other Atlantic provinces. What would a multi-year commitment look like from your government?
Well, I mean, you pose a question on the net debt to GDP and things like that. So I think there's a whole bunch of issues that encompass any decision made in a budget, whether that be your social programs, our education, your healthcare. Those are growing needs as well. So we have to be very careful on how we do this and how we balance it. But I think it just shows that the government, and with the new rebate program too, that we've acknowledged in the budget, which is already proving to be extremely positive move and popular. So I think there's other things that we can ensure that the small business community is having access to. And if you look at over the past 2.5 to 3 years, we started with a microloan program. We increased the Ignition Fund program. We put in for the first time ever a venture capital fund to partner with local private company with about $2 million, which is likely leveraging somewhere between 4 and 6 now. So there's those types of things that we can do as a government, creating the zone, which is extremely important, and increasing Launchpad now to 2 locations for small business startups. So there's things that we can do that can contribute to the small and medium enterprises or startups that I think are extremely important. But yes, the small business tax is important too, and we recognize that, and going forward we will make sure that it's always on our radar, because we feel that it's important to grow the businesses.
Okay. You mentioned about the small business investment, that grant or rebate, 15% up to a 25% investment. What would be some types of projects or investments that you might see small businesses doing with that?
Well, I think anything that goes into capital.
Yeah.
We've had inquiries from everything from small business, one truck backhoe operator where he was purchasing a $30,000 backhoe. But those are the types of things, and it's up to $25,000 investment, and it's about $3,750, I think, or close to $4,000 you get back on the math. So it could be almost anything, and it can be applied for once a year, and it's something that it's basically a cash in hand rebate type project. We're eliminating as much bureaucracy in this as we possibly can, and allowing us to activate it immediately.
So another way for small business to access capital, as well as some of those other programs that you mentioned. Yeah. Just want to talk about one thing that I know our organization, the Chamber, and other organizations have been quite curious about, and that is the basic personal tax exemption. Your government has committed to a $1,000 increase over the next 2 years. There is some room in terms of PEI getting up closer to maybe the Canadian average. Why do you think that's important for Islanders, and what do you see the future plans being for that?
Well, I think it's, again, when everybody does well, you have to ensure that all Islanders get something back, and I think this budget exemplifies what we're trying to do. So the personal tax exemption is no different than the 0.50 on the corporation tax, or some of the stuff we've done in education and health and mental illness. I think it's extremely important that we give back. By doing that alone, we're adding 2,200 additional people that don't pay any tax on Prince Edward Island, so we're up approximately about 30,000 people. So I think we're touching on all different levels of society with that, so I think that's important that everybody gets to see, there's some growth there for themselves as far as what they're getting back from government.
Okay. Last area I just want to touch on, really important to business owners, is around labor market development and population growth. The two certainly go hand in hand, as you know. You announced a number of initiatives for post-secondary. It feels very much around youth retention, the Island Advantage bursary. Can you talk a little bit more about those initiatives and why they're important? Extremely.
They're extremely important. I think everybody's aware that labor is becoming a rare commodity. So what we have to do is we have to look at long term, and what we have to do is try to keep our youth here on Prince Edward Island, try to ensure that they say, you know what, I can go to school here, I can live here, and I can work at the profession of my choice here. So what we've done is we've actually started from cradle to, from the cradle basically right through to the post-secondary, where we created 400 more spaces in early childhood, and then getting to what we've done with the middle schools, if it's what you want to call it, K to 12, and then what we've done to post-secondary. We've had people calling us in regards to this, saying this is unbelievable, this is historic, you're making my life so much easier. So there's, when you say that you're going to take 1,000 people and say you have free tuition, there's not going to be that excuse to go off island and go to school. But if you do go off island and go to school, we have a debt reduction program. So if you come back within 3 years after you're postgraduate and work on Prince Edward Island, we can do a debt reduction on your student loans up to $3,500 a year. So we're putting the bait out there to ensure that we can build capacity, and those youth are the future. So we need them likely more than they need us right now. So we have to entice them with incentives, and I think it's a pretty phenomenal incentive that we've put out there.
Great. Well, thank you very much for your time today. I know the Chamber will be continuing to have conversations with you and your office and your government. We do appreciate your time today, and that's signing off from the Greater Charlottetown Area Chamber of Commerce. Have a great day.